What's going on, everybody? It's DotBets. We are checking back in. We got our Week 4 on the Dots NFL live stream coming at you guys. Fresh off a 5-0 show last week. So shout out to anybody if you guys were here last week. Swept the board, which was nice to do. First couple weeks, you get your feel down for who's a fraud, who's a winner. And last week we nailed it. So let's build off of that this week. I do have one of the similar, I basically had the same exact play. It just went up a little bit, but I'm going to keep hammering that train, especially in this matchup. So that'll be a little bit later on in the show. But if you have not been here before, appreciate you guys tuning in. We are live each and every Sunday at 10 a.m., giving you guys a spread, 3 props, and then at any time touchdown, pick to click of the day, which we nailed last week. We got on the board finally with Mike Evans before he got out with his hamstring injury. So lucky there, but as everybody always would say, I'd rather be lucky than good. All right, if you have any questions, I'll be here for about 20 minutes or so. Just throwing my 2 cents in there. We'll go over a little bit of DFS, but shout out to the Shark Bros Discord. We are absolutely killing it this NFL season. We have 5 expert cappers. We have been dominating the gold member plays, 3-0 last 3 plays. So head on over to the link below and in the description to sign up for the Shark Bros Discord to get all of our plays all week and all day long. All right, so let's dive in. And if you have not yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It goes a long way for us to continue to do these shows on a weekly basis. All right, we got pretty good matchups this week. And this is one of those slates where I think it might be a little bit more dog heavy, but I do like this favorite here. Surprised me when the line came out, and it just kind of kept going in their favor. So if it's over right now, it's over on FanDuel at 7.5, but on DraftKings it is 7, and you got 2 winless teams. 0-3 versus 0-3, and they're laying 7 at home. That's where it's just like, bang. Yeah, Vegas is telling you something with this. It should be telling you something with this, and I don't think they're lying. And this comes down to strictly the Texans. The Texans -7, very, very tough to swallow, I would say. Laying 7 at home, like I said, playing the way they've been playing, especially offensively. Offensively, they've been an absolute joke, to be honest with you. But hopefully that second half of last week kind of builds some momentum. The clear edge in this matchup is the defensive end for the Texans against Cam Ward. Cam Ward, he has shown flashes, but he has looked horrific this season. And it's kind of gone through the wayside. Not many people called him out for it. He's a rookie. He should be looking like this. And I'm thinking the defensive side of the ball here for the Texans should be the main difference. And then you have the ground game where you have Chubb and Woody Marks coming along very well. And then you also have Christian Kirk coming for the wide receiver 2 position, as you see him last week come back. And he got 8 targets. So 3 catches for like 25 yards, but he had 8 targets last week. I think he's going to be a big boost for this offense. And then, of course, you got Nico being the alpha dog there. So Texans all the way around for me. If you want to put them in a teaser, I'm okay with that. Our gold members did have something similar to that, but you can also lay the points here with the Texans at home. If you are in a survivor, it's a pretty, I wouldn't say a sneaky spot, but you're going to have everybody on the Bills this week if they have not taken them. So I would assume it's the Texans or the Bills this week very, very heavily for survivor leagues. I personally want the Bills, And if they blow a 14.5-point cover and lose at home to the Saints, I deserve to lose in Survivor. But it's more of one of those weeks where, hey, you click it and move on. All right, on to our 3 props. And this, I went back to a guy that I was on week 2 who absolutely laid a dud. So if he lays a dud on week 4, we're only going to play him on the odd weeks. That's just how it goes. But that's as simple as sports betting you can make it. On and off, on and off, on and off, odds and even weeks, whatever. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But this guy should absolutely smash in this matchup. Absolutely should. On paper, this makes too much sense. But when you look at it, you're like, this is way too many receiving yards for this guy. And as always, before we get into the props, I will show you guys 8 Hall of Fame bets. I am an affiliate with them. Shout out to them. Absolutely love their website data. Tons and tons of more data gets going each and every week in there. So I will pull that up here shortly real quick. So we're going to go Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry over 40.5 receiving yards. You could go receptions. As you can see, right here is the main tell for me. They have been absolutely abused, this Panthers defense, by the tight end position, especially this season. And if you scroll down, you can see the receiving against them. You click the tight end position. Pitts even had 39 yards last week, 78 by McBride, 59 by Strange in week 1. So basically everybody besides Pitts right there has been in the green for this ticket. And as you've seen, the usage this year for Hunter Henry has been pretty elite. Coming off of a 2-touchdown game, you could sprinkle a touchdown here. As you can see, that's a very good matchup again for touchdowns. I want to say, if we scroll down, I don't know if McBride got in. Okay, so they have not let up a receiving touchdown yet to the tight end. So I think it's just more of the philosophy. Let the tight end go ahead and get his yardage, but not in the red zone. But as you can see, Hunter Henry coming off of 66, and then the dud when we were on him for his reception total. I think like 3.5. We were on him week 2, but then week 3 absolutely exploded against Pittsburgh, and that's why I kind of went back to Hockenson this week, but did not go well so far. Catchless against the Steelers so far in Delta. All right, so we got Hunter Henry over 40.5 receiving yards. Do like that position there. Next one's good. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. As a more of a bounce back position, plus a very, very good spot, because I think this Commanders defense, they're frauds. They played a couple of good games last year, and I thought they were improving with Dan Quinn. And then I've just seen, obviously you saw the Raiders torch this team. And I'm thinking they're back to their similar ways where you were always targeting this Commanders defense. So we're going to go back to the well here with Drake London. Over 5.5 receptions. Michael Penix cannot be any worse than what he was last week. That right there was the worst performance I've probably seen out of a quarterback in a while. And to Drake London's credit here, he still ended up with 5 targets. So we are 5 receptions. So if you could go 5+ if you wanted to, but that's minus 220. So if you go 6 receptions, which he's only hit 1 time so far this year, so it is a little bit tough to swallow, but he is the alpha one here. And with Mooney coming back into the picture, I think only helps Drake London here. And Michael Penix is going to want to get back into a rhythm, and he's going to have to target his main man Drake a little bit more here. And if you guys have seen, you come down here for wide receiver ones. Trey Tucker, kind of an outlier last week with 8, but Neighbors had 5. This really Wandale had 6. It's a little hit or miss there, but I think this matchup alone going to be I think it's going to be a pretty up and down game, fast paced game. Both teams want to play pretty fast, but you have definitely a good redemption spot here for Penix and London to get back on the same page. The targets are going to be there. I think target wise, he had 8 last week, 15 in week 1. I think you're going to see something more double digits in this game for sure. Something more double digits this game for Drake. It's just a matter of time. I think this is a big game for Drake London. So over 5.5 receptions, minus 102. I think that's over on FanDuel. And this is the same spot we were in last week. We took my main man, Boomer Sooner, Baker Mayfield's rush yards. It was 17.5. He ended up having, I think, like 44. It was just one of those scenarios last week again that made a lot of sense. And let me pull it up really quickly because last week against the Jets, they were going to get home on them. And I think losing Evans, you saw him just take off later in the game. Now, a little bit more pressure will be on him, I guess, this week with the Eagles as well. Plus, if he is struggling with his bicep, even if he isn't, obviously he's shown that he wants the ability to run. You might actually see him just take off and run even more. And if you want to take his carries, it's like over 3.5, which is heavily juiced. So I would much rather just go this route. Baker Mayfield over 19.5 rush yards. So if you see 20 plus, it's been a cash cow this entire season. Dating back to last season, it was really, really good. And then matchup is okay. 19th, giving up rush yards to the quarterback position. Still, but you got to look at who they've played. Like Dak and Matt Stafford aren't two guys that want to run. But Patty Mahomes loves to run, and you saw him go for 66 yards against this Eagles defense. That can get home very, very quickly. So I think you're going to see Baker use his legs, utilize it a little bit more. And I think 20 plus here is definitely within reach. Once again, hate to give it again, but I just think it's a very, very good spot. Once again for this Tampa Bay offense, especially Baker extending drives with his legs, with a lot less weapons with Evans, but you do see Chris Godwin come back. That is still to be determined on what the hell he's going to look like. So Baker Mayfield over 19.5 rush yards. And then we will end here, unless we got some, please throw away some comments in here. If you got fantasy start sits, you got props that you're looking at, you got anything related to the NFL slate here, throw in the comments. We'll be here another 5 minutes or so. But the pick-to-click touchdown, we're going to go back to that Texans game. And I sure as hell almost went with Nick Chubb. Almost went with Nick Chubb here, but we're going to go with one. I think I went week 2 with him. Week 1 or week 2, and I missed it. No, sorry, it had to be week 1. Had to be week 1 because he scored the last 2. Yep. So I'm going back with him. He's going to score in 3 straight games. And that is Nico Collins here. Great matchup once again. You've seen this Tennessee defense get absolutely abused by wide receiver ones the last 3 weeks. I mean, I would say Devontae Adams is probably a 1B to a 1A Puka, but Adams is the more of a red zone target. And as you've seen, they've given up 60 plus and a touchdown to the wide receiver 1 position the last 3 weeks, with Devontae having that big 100-yard game as well. So 3 straight weeks with a touchdown to the wide receiver 1 position. Wide receiver 2s have been a little bit less successful, but as you can tell, Nico is the huge red zone target for this team. I think he accounts for almost 30 or 40% of the usage in the red zone there for the Texans. Pretty good number, plus 122 guy. Should be more like the plus 105-ish, plus 100 range. But so you're getting some value here on Nico. Actually, it's plus 124 here. but plus 110 on DraftKings, so a little bit less, a little bit more on FanDuel there. But Nico makes a lot of sense. Look for him to score, and if we're heavy on the Texans to go ahead and win their first game of the season, I think Nico's going to be a pretty good part of that. All right, let's dive into DFS very quickly. The DFS slate is not as easy as it was last week. Last week was just like it was a book. Just here's a script already. You knew Jordan Mason was going to absolutely dominate last week, and you had very, very cheap quarterback positions with Mariota and Wentz that you could get different with and go heavy there. So Mariota this week, he's now $1,000 more expensive. I still think you can play him if you're playing cash, but you're going to see a lot more people go with the Geno, the Caleb Williams, the Drake Mays, and the Herberts, I think, on cash games. Running back position, you are going to see a ton of CMC in a lot of lineups. And I just don't know if you're going to see a lot of rush yards for him. I know it's set at like 70 and stuff, but I've seen a lot of people take the under there. I do like that the Jaguars keep that game close. I've seen a lot of love there. James Cook will be another person. Very, very high usage, plus especially being 14.5 favorites. And you have Hampton as well, going to be heavily on there, and Bijan and Jonathan Taylor. I think those are like the top 5 that you can play in cash there. And we do have a quick question here. B4B, what's up, buddy? Any thoughts on Bucky Irving anytime touchdown? Yes. He will be. I'm going to basically put a running back anytime touchdown lay in the Discord, and he is going to be a part of it. I do like Bucky this week for sure. He was definitely one person I forgot to talk about when I was talking about the Tampa Bay Eagles game, but I do like Bucky this week to get in. And I don't know if he's scored yet this year either. Let's see. Anytime. So he scored the week 1. Yeah, he scored week 1, but has not scored since. But the Eagles, they do give up. I mean, you saw this Rams team run down their throats last week with Kyron and Blake Corum. And they get Tristan Wirfs back, which is a huge part to their offense. So I can see them lean a little bit more onto their run game too, especially in the red zone. I know I was on Baker's rush yards, but go ahead with Bucky anytime as well. So he will definitely be one of my touchdown lays because I think he's plus 120-ish around the board, so not bad. I think he's just another one that should be probably plus 100-ish. All right, wide receivers for the for DFS slate. The heavy hitters, you're going to see a ton of Puka and Jacoby Myers, Olave, Drake London, Adams. A lot of people are going to go back to the Tucker train. I'm going to probably stay away and go more towards Jacoby, which I wish that was flipped ownership-wise because a lot of people like to piggyback on Trey Tucker, but the field's getting a little bit more sharp there. Rome Odunze, Amon-Ra, Malik Neighbors, pretty good options there. My top stacks this week with in regards to DFS, that Rams Colts game should be very fun to watch there. I want to say that I had 2 more or my fit. Let me double check real quick. But I know for sure I'm going to stack the Rams side because I think it's an easy run back with Pittman or Taylor or Warren. And then we got the other one. Oh, yeah. So it was the Chargers. So the Chargers-Giants game, you're going to see a lot of people go with Jackson Dart. Totally fine with that if you want to. I'm going to go the opposite way and go Herbert and then stack that with Herbert, Ladd, Allen, or Herbert, Hampton, Ladd, Herbert, Hampton, QJ, however you want to get a little bit different. But I think there's 2 clear run backs with Scatabo and Neighbors. And if you want to flip that, you could go Dart, Neighbors, Scatabo, and then come back with one of those 3 in the Chargers. I think it's just harder to nail that one with the Chargers. So if you do, kudos to you. But I think it's better to stack those the Chargers side, but totally can see either way. But Jackson Dart will be very popular as well this week with his rushing ability. Almost made the card for his rush yards. I think it's like mid-30s. I can see it, but I wanted to wait and officially see it live for my eyes. I know he played well in the preseason, but preseason is a little bit different. All right, so actually, let's go over tight end real quick. Tight end real quick, you're going to see a lot of Jalen Warren, Kincaid, Brock Bowers, and Hunter Henry. And then I think you want to get a little bit different. I think Juwan Johnson's a pretty good sneaky play. And if you want to get a little bit different, go with Dallas Goedert for the Eagles. All right, let's recap real quick. Texans -7 play of the day. We got Hunter Henry over 40.5 receiving yards. Drake London over 5.5 receptions. And then you have Baker once again on him over 19.5 rush yards. And we got Nico to score the touchdown of the day for us. So Nico plus 122. All right, well, let's build off of a nice 5-0 stream last week. Let's get another profitable one. And we will see you guys same time next week at 10 a.m. for week 5. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.